D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So I just finished the latest episode of Moon Knight. Well, it won't be just finished by the time you watch this. By the time of my recording this, it's I just finished it, but it's episode 4. And I have to be honest, I can't tell you if I liked this episode or I disliked this episode. If I had to pick one or the other, I had to tell you like right now, it's going to be I didn't like it. But there were some things that I did like about it, if that makes sense. They showed a god at the end, which I appreciated. I have a feeling we're not going to see that god for very often because they don't like to pay for special effects that much on this show. But I will say this episode was better than the last 2 episodes because those were garbage. The first episode, I did like the first episode. I won't lie. I did like the first episode. So I'd have to say this is my second favorite episode. And like I said before, they did have an Egyptian god at the end, which we'll talk about. And I did appreciate it. I don't think that I'm not sure if they'll do any more. Like, because, if they'll do like a bunch of gods in one room, I hope they do. If they don't, it's like whatever, but I'm pretty sure they won't. And then I don't know. The ending was very interesting. And we'll talk about that when we get to it. But I don't know, but because I've never read, I ordered a Moon Knight comic book. It came. I haven't sat down and read it yet. Yeah. But I will. And we'll see how it works out. I mean, it's like whatever. I really don't have any faith in these Marvel TV shows, but I do want to break this sucker down because I do have some thought. It was very much like at one point, it was very much The Mummy meets Indiana Jones meets Tomb Raider, which I kind of appreciated that part. Like there was like a part where I was just like, ooh, and everything. So, I mean, like that I appreciate, but I mean, like, I'm getting sick and tired of this whole like in when it comes to movies and TV shows and everything, it's show, don't tell. And this show has a habit of just telling. So do a lot of the Marvel shows. They just tell you. They don't show you. And I'm like, listen, if you guys like, I understand like money, you can't just be spending money willy-nilly. But it's like, I just feel like that sometimes some things just wouldn't cost as much as you think they would. And they're like, just reuse, sets and stuff. I don't know, man. I don't know. I know you're all like, oh, stop whining. But, I just have thoughts about certain things. And I'm just like, and I'll tell you when we get to it, what it is that they told but didn't show. And I'm all like, oh, come on. That'd have been way cooler to see it and everything. But it's like, what are you going to do? So I don't know if I liked this episode, but I definitely liked it better than the last 2 episodes, because those last 2 episodes, like I said, they sucked. That first episode though was good. You can go check out my reviews for those and everything. All right. Well, before I get started on this breakdown, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we always get shoved to the back of the line. So I please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. So now that we're done with that, let's get started on this breakdown. Okay, so we start off and we've got Osiris, his avatar, walking through the pyramid, and they do this thing where they have it upside down and they flip it back over and everything. It's a cool visual and everything. I liked it and everything. Although when they do that stuff, I'm always like this, and then I'm like, and everything. So he's got the Shakti of what is his name? Khonshu, and they made him into a little statue and everything. And he puts him into his little cubby hole. And I'll explain what this is in just a second. So this is the Shakti of Khonshu. Here's the poster for it. What a Shakti is. So this is a Shakti. So they're little clay statues of most of the time it's people. And in ancient Egypt, they would make those, and those would be your servants in the afterlife. So if you were like a pharaoh, you'd have a bunch of them. And if you'd have some like soldiers and stuff like that, and you'd have your chariots and stuff like that. So these are just clay servants basically. But this is of a god. And this god is Khonshu, and obviously he's stuck inside the statue. So then we get that, and then so he puts him there, and then he walks away, and you see a bunch of them. So I'm like, how many times have these guys? Because I always wondered, there was 5 of them in that little thing, and there's 10 in the Anad. I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyways, but there was only 5 gods that one time, our last episode, when they turned Khonshu into a statue. So I'm like, how many times have these gods have to do this, and why are they doing it? Like, did all these gods do something that pissed them off? Like they changed the sky and everything. And me, I just go. Right now we live in the Marvel and the MCU and all these fantastical things. I mean, you have Thanos, and these gods are worried about them changing the sky. Like, what is going on here? Like, get over yourself. All right. So I just want to be like, you're not better than me, kind of thing. But these gods, I don't know what's going on with them. They're just they're kind of stupid. They're kind of dumb. They believed what's his face. And Ethan Hawke's character, they believed him last episode. They're like, oh, he's not doing anything. He's just chilling out in the desert, because people do that all the time. I'm stupid. But then they're just trapping gods into statues because, reasons and everything, because they changed the sky. It wasn't like people turned into dust randomly and they're all like, oh no, it's fine. Okay. So anyways, so we're back in the desert because Steven and Marc, I'm just going to call him Marc because I don't like Steven. I'll call him Steven when he turns into Steven. They got Khonshu pulled out of him and everything. So they're all passed out. So there's a Jeep coming and it's shooting at them. So they roll down the hill. The Jeep comes over and she runs towards their truck. She's like hiding behind there. He's like, I saw someone running and everything. And she gets in. It looks like he's dead and everything. And so she starts up a flare, drops it, and they come and they look for the flare. And then she lights another one and throws it into the back of their truck onto some bullets or some, kind of armory or whatever. And they look like bullets. And they start firing and they kill these 2 dudes because I'm surprised that nobody else got hit. Like their Jeep didn't get hit. Nothing else got hit except for these 2 dudes. And then Steven's standing there. He's like, oh, that's crazy. So then they're driving. I don't remember what they talk about here. I don't really, who cares? So they get to the Omnets site and we're walking through and we see this goat. I was curious if this goat meant anything. I don't know if it does, but I was like, I wonder if that means anything with the goat there. Like, is that like an Egyptian god? Is that a representation? What's going on here? So they find the site and you can see it right here. It's right here. They're like, oh, they must have already gone in. So I'm like, okay, cool, and everything. So they're going through and they're finding all this stuff and they're packing up and everything because they're ready to get out of here. And Marc's all like, what are you doing, kind of thing. And I can't remember what they said. So she packs up some flares and then we see some dried blood. And then we go down and we see this. Now, at first, I thought this was a sword, but it's not. It's a tool for ancient Egyptian like burial rites and stuff. And we'll talk about that when we get to it. Because it's very gross. And Steven did talk about it in the first episode to that little girl. How he talked about how like they take the thing and they pull stuff out of your nose. I don't think that's what this tool is. I think this tool is for like cutting open because that's what happens later on. All right, we'll talk about it. So then he's sitting here and she's like putting on his little belt for his little skerblunking thing. And the little cave diving stuff. And he's like, I've waited for this all my life. And then, he's talking, but why are you down there and everything? And she comes up, he's like, I mean, and everything. And he talks about her and he says, and he tells her, he's like, hey, she tries to kiss him. And he tells her, he's like, hey, Khonshu wants to make you the avatar after after Marc is done with him. When Marc's done being Khonshu's avatar, he wants to make you his avatar. You're the next avatar for Khonshu. And he's like, I thought you should know. And then they get ready to go and he kisses her. And I was like, hey, Steven, I mean, like, listen, I don't know how some women feel about it. But sometimes I feel like some women are just like, if you ask them, can I kiss you? It's like their downstairs just goes dry, like the Sahara Desert. Okay. I know my wife was that way. She's like, don't ask me if you can kiss me, just kiss me. So anyways, so he kisses her and everything. And they're just basically like whatever and everything. Now, I just have to say right now, when it comes to these 2 characters, I do not feel that they are in love with each other at all. The chemistry between these two actors is not very good. Like it feels very forced. Like, especially the last episode where they're on that boat and they're like, I haven't heard that sound since our wedding. I did not feel like those two were in love. I did not get that at all. Like I said before, the chemistry is just not there, in my opinion. So anyways, so she's like, okay, I'll see you down there. So she goes down and she's seeing these statues and everything. And he falls down because he's, stupid. Which I don't understand why he doesn't like him, why him and Marc they don't switch back and forth when they could use the skills of the other person. Like, it's very obvious that Steven knows more about Egyptian mythology than Marc. So when it comes to this physical activity stuff, why doesn't Marc just be like, hey, let me get us down this cave and then I'll let you take back over? Like, I just don't understand why they don't do that. But whatever. Hey, listen, they needed to have this funny moment, which I didn't laugh. So, I mean, like, whatever. So they're sitting there and they're like, oh my gosh, they're just sitting down here guarding everything, waiting for us to open it kind of thing, which is fun. So they go through here and I can't remember what they say here, but they get to this little area here and she finds some bullet shells and she's like, what? She's like, what would they be firing at? Or whatever her accent is. And he's drawing the eye of Ra. I don't remember. Or Horus. Horus is the one that has the moon eye and the sun eye, right? Or is that Ra? Maybe it's Ra. I don't know. So he draws this eye because there's 6. Because she mentions there's 6 paths, and he's sitting here. He's like, well, he's got 6. For each sense. And he says the eyebrow is for the mind. This one is for, the thingy is for sight. And then, touch, smell. This one's for smell. But he said this long one that comes into a curl, which I didn't get a screenshot of it, is for tongue or for taste. And he's like, they find out that this is the tomb of a pharaoh because it's built very well. And she's like, no, where would you get the money to build this kind of thing? The avatar for Omnet must have been the last avatar must have been a pharaoh. So then, and they're like the pharaoh the avatar would have been the mouthpiece of Omnet. So then they're like, we need to go down that pathway. Oh, here, I did get it. So, yeah. So then they go down that path and they come to this little chamber and she sees these little things and she's like, oh, they've got face masks on here. So they must be the guards and everything. And I can't remember what she says about these mummies up along the wall or whatnot. But then they find that there's blood and like little bits and stuff right here. And I'm all like, of course there is. And then they find fresh blood and everything, and then they find up there, and they're like, we need to go up there and check stuff out. So he gets up there and he's checking stuff out, and then you hear this, and he's like, I found an exit, and you hear kind of thing. I didn't do it. It's like and everything. So then the skeleton guy comes in and he throws up this dude onto this little thing. Sorry, the arrow went very big, and it's very much like the mummy. And it's this dude, which was one of the cops, one of the policemen from, I don't think it was last episode. I think it was the second episode. And because it was him and that shaved head black lady. And so he's cutting into him and he's doing the burial rites thing. Like he takes out a piece and puts it into those little jars that we saw earlier. Hold on, I'll go back to those little jars if I could find them. Oh, it's so far. Never mind. I'm not going to go back and get those jars. It's too far. And he puts the pieces in him and he's cutting through. And so he's like, she's moving, but she knocks over a jar. And the little guy's like, and he's like checking stuff out. And Steven's like, oh, and everything. So he sees Steven or whatnot. And she throws a jar and the little mummy goes towards it. And he's like, run, I'll find you. And knocks the thing over and squishes the mummy or whatnot. And so then she comes across this like room where all along the edge is the walkway. And then this space is just, a bottomless pit. And so she's, a little scared or whatnot. I'd be freaking out. But then she's like taking her sweet time getting across on the little ledges or whatnot. Me, I'd be all like, I need to move now and everything, because she hears the little and she hears some gunfire. So she starts moving along, and pieces are falling off. And then all of a sudden, like a hand comes out of the wall, and she sees it and she freaks out. So she starts going faster and stuff and getting over. And then she lands on the side of like on this big portion of it. And then all of a sudden she gets pulled into the darkness by this Skeletor looking mofo, and she keeps getting pulled in. This is very cheap, like, in my opinion. Like, I wasn't scared at this part. Like, I was just like, okay, and everything. I was like, they're not going to kill her. She needs to be the Moon Knight, the next Moon Knight, which I personally am not a fan of. If that's what they do, I hope they don't do it. It's a bad decision. But she comes out and she's got his arm. So then he pops out and they start fighting, and she tears off his mask where she sees his little skeletons and everything. And he starts trying to stab her with his little nub. And then she takes out a flare and she stabs him with it, and he burns up. He's like, and everything. And she throws him over the edge. She gets over and she's like, and everything. So when she wakes up, there's Stephen Hawking. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head. I'll pull it up while I'm talking to you guys. So, of course, like a creeper, he's just sitting out over in the shadows, just watching her fight little Skeletor. And then Stephen enters the Arthur Harrow is his name. So he enters the tomb of this pharaoh. She's like, oh my gosh, we're like the first ones here and everything. And then Marc's all like, you had to kiss her. Oh, because Marc punched him earlier. He's like, you had to kiss her. And he's like, I'll take it. You could try drown us. And he's like, it wouldn't be a bad idea. So then he's looking at it. He's like, that's Mesopotamian. No, he said he always claimed he said he was Egyptian. He's like, it's Alexander the Great. And which is super cool and everything. I don't know that much about Alexander the Great. I mean, yeah. If I do, I don't remember. So then Ethan Hawke is sitting here and he's all like, hey, little scarab, isn't that what your father called you? And he's like, Marc never told you what happened to your father. And she's all like, yeah, but I have a feeling you're going to. So why don't you get on with it? And I was like, good. See, that's the thing. I like people like that. I'm a no nonsense kind of person. Get to what you want to tell me, or just get out of my way. Like, I don't care. You get those people that can't tell a story. You're just like, oh, this is taking so long. And then they get to the end of it and you're like, that was the climax of your story. Shitty story, dude. Like, get over yourself. Anyways, so he tells him basically, while Steven's opening this, I'll tell you a minute. So he then pushes it open. He's like, everything in my body is telling me not to open this and everything. So he opens it, and there's the skeleton, the mummy of Alexander the Great. And he's all like, he was the mouthpiece of Omnet. So he looks in and he breaks off his jaw. Now, when he put his hand in his mouth, this is where I was like, ooh, because I thought it would come alive like the other mummies and bite his hand. I was like, oh, it's going to bite his hand, like, and everything. But it didn't. And then so he tells her basically, Marc went to, her father was doing like an excavation or whatnot, and Marc and another guy went. I don't remember the guy's name. And he was telling him, hey, they went in and he killed everybody execution style. And then he killed, shot Marc, also as a betrayal, because Marc wasn't feeling it. He doesn't tell him there. He's like, your father died and Marc was there. So, and that's what he tells her later. So he pulls out the Shakti, the statue of Omnet. And it's very cool. These Shaktis are very, very cool. If I was, still in Egyptian stuff and it wasn't all Harry Potter, I would, I totally would buy some. So then she comes in and she's like, tell me about my father, Marc. I'm talking to Marc. Tell me about my father. He's all like, yeah, I was there. And he's all like, he's like, he shot your dad, my partner, and then he shot me. He betrayed me too. And then Khonshu saved me. And so and then he tells her, he's all like, she's like, why didn't you tell me that the first time you met me? He's like, I tried to tell you. She's like, and then she's all like, wait a minute. You came to talk to me to tell me about my father, and then we met and we had, we got married and stuff. So it's all a big sham. And he's like, no, I love you and everything, or I loved you, or whatever he says. Me, I just go, who cares? I was like, I do not get that these two, it's so forced in my opinion that I'm just like, every time they're like together and trying to like, you get this whole, oh, I love you kind of thing. I'm just like, I roll, please. So then he's all like, they're coming. Let's get, you try to find a way out. I'll fight him off. So he grabs this axe and everything, and he's sitting there and he turns, and in comes Ethan Hawke, Arthur Harrow, with all his little dudes with guns. And he's like, I can tell you, I remember the first night I woke up without the voice of Khonshu in my head. And I remember what that feels like. He's like, it's silent. He's like, you know what you have to do. He's like, yeah, I do. Okay. So then he starts fighting. He grabs this dude's gun, slices him, throws this axe at that dude. Bummer for him. And then Arthur Harrow just gets out and shoots him. Just shoots him right in the chest, like bam, bam. And then he falls back, and then he does a double tap. He shoots him twice. You always do the double tap. That's the rule. Dem to rules, double tap. So then she's all like, oh my God, he's gonna die. Is that a doorway right there? Why didn't she just leave? Anyways, so look at that funny face. He falls back and he lands in this water, and then he floats off into oblivion. Now, I thought I'm pretty sure I knew what was happening when this happened, but I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. Let's see what's doing. So we get this little like movie, and it's this kid and it's this guy, and his name is Stephen Grant in this movie, and he's like an excavation thing, and it's a movie, all right? And then we get this clear, crisp, white hospital type place. And we see this is the bald black lady I was talking about. She's the cop. And then they're serving cupcakes. And this woman, I didn't get a shot of it, but she drew a picture of the Khonshu man, like a face, little skull thingy. And there's Marc. And they're playing bingo. There's a fish right there for his little fish. And then he's all drugged out. And here comes Layla. And she's putting stuff up. She's eating a marshmallow. And she's like, oh, you won. We won. And then she's like, I won. And she's like, I'll share it with you this time, I promise. And I'm like, liar. And so he gets up and he falls because he's been tied to his wheelchair. And he drops an action figure of Moon Knight. And I was like, oh, way to do product placement, Marvel. Now everybody's going to go buy a Moon Knight action figure. Not really, though. And this guy comes up, and that's the other cop. And also the dude that just got his, intestines pulled out and put in a little jar by, the Zorgified guy. So he's all, drugged out and everything. And then Arthur Harrow he's in his office basically. And he's like, I watched your videotape. It was really fun. I had the VHS or whatnot. And he's sitting here talking. Oh, this was a picture. I didn't get a good picture of, but that was the village from the first movie when they're in like, and stuff. And he's all like, I'm trying to help you. And he's all like, and he sees the cane and everything. And he says something about something about perspective, and something about how like my dog sees, something to play with, and it's a writing utensil for me kind of thing. He's like, neither one of us are wrong, but it's all about perspective kind of thing. And I'm all like, I guess so. That's, I guess interesting or whatnot. So then he sees the cane, he sees all this the hieroglyphics, are all this stuff around, this Egyptian stuff. And he's like, this isn't real. He's like, this isn't real. And he tries to get away. He's like, stay away from me and everything. He's like, I'm trying to help you. Please just calm down. The guards come in. He kicks that one. He bites her, and then he runs off and everything. Now, I want to just point this out right here. So when you see these lamps, okay, first off, they're on the top and it sways, okay, like it would a boat. Now, in Egyptian mythology, okay, so I want to just point this out. I think that this whole portion where they're in the hospital, it's not real. It's actually the ferryman to like their underworld or whatnot. So in ancient Egyptology, Nemeti was the fairy. He was the god of the ferryman. And then ancient Egypt's religion, the ferryman was the patron and custodian of the boat that carried the souls of the dead into the underworld. And apparently the ferryman assisted Nemeti, and he remained in a deep sleep. And they remained in a deep sleep until they were needed and had to be woken up by the dead who summoned him when they required his services. So I think that this is a boat, and I just want to bring up one picture. So this right here is a picture of a boat from a trailer for one of the next I think it's the next episode. So I think that what's going on is this is all them taking them to the land of the dead or whatnot, and they are on this boat right now. So the hospital is just in his mind, but it's a boat. So I just want to bring that up. That's what I think that is. So because it sways like, the ocean sways or whatnot. So he goes into this room where he finds a sarcophagus and he hears somebody say, "Oh, let me out, let me out, let me out." And he opens up. Oh, by the way, sorry, I said this was Stephen. This is Marc. So he opens up and there's Stephen. He's like, "Stephen," and Marc. And he's like, "How is this possible?" He's like, "I don't know." So they go back into the hallway and they come across this sarcophagus and it's moving and everything. Now, I think that this is Jake Lockley. Now, this is the third persona inside Moon Knight. I'm not trying to act like an expert. I only Googled it. Calm down, everybody. Everything I looked up, I Googled because I don't know every single thing that's going on in all this stuff. I haven't read Moon Knight yet. And he's a taxi driver, and he kind of like finds out like all the stuff, like all the info on the streets. Like he's their street guy. And I think that he's the one that killed those men from the last episode. And I think that because Steven was in that one sarcophagus, I think that Jake Langley is in this sarcophagus. And if you notice, this one's standing up because I think that Steven is his third personality and it's still alive. So I think that, yeah, maybe that's why it's standing up. The other one was laying down. I'm just going to say, I don't know. And I think that he will, when they free him, when they free him, it will be this Moon Knight right here. And I've never read this comic book, but it's very cool looking. I think that this is what it'll look like. He'll have the Moon Knight mask, but it'll be part of his getup in the hospital. And this will help him break out. Jake Langley will help him break out, but this is what he'll look like until he is ready to break out. And then he'll turn into the Moon Knight costume. So that's my thoughts on that. So they're buzzing through these hallways and they get to this door and everything. And a big hippo opens it. And she's all like, "Hi." And they're like, "Ah." Now, this right here, I listen again. I appreciated this 100% that they showed this because I was afraid that they wouldn't have any Egyptian gods except for Khonshu, and I was going to be very annoyed. I hope that when Omnet shows up, they do show Omnet at least once. If they don't, I'm going to be really annoyed, and it's going to be super stupid if they don't. So this is Tawaret. I don't know if that's how you say it. Her ass is looking very juicy there. But she was the Egyptian goddess of maternity and childbirth, and protector of women and children. Like Bess, she was both a fierce demonic fighter as well as a popular deity who guarded the mother and her newborn child. She was also the goddess demoness of birth, rebirth, and the northern sky. So I think that when the whole rebirth thing, I think she is going to help him either travel back to the land of the living, or she's just gonna be like, "Listen, I can help you back to the land of the living. Back to the land of the living, or you can just stay dead if you want," and everything. So and look at Steven. What a little girl. They're both girls right here. yeah, a big hippo. Hippos are very dangerous and everything. They are. They seem all cute and cuddly, but you don't want to mess with them. They will fuck your shit up real quick. So, like I said, I appreciate that they spent some money on this, showing us an Egyptian god, but I wish that they had done more of it. And I hope that they do more of it later on. I hope it's just not we get these one little things. I hope they spend the money and do it, because it just would be nice, in my opinion. Like, it just would be nice. But like I said, if they don't, it's fine. I just wish they would. So that's my breakdown, you guys. I didn't hate this episode, but I can't tell you right now if I liked it or not. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know if I liked it or not. It was definitely better than the last two. I'll tell you that. I said that before, but it's better than the last two, because the last two, like I said, were just god awful. They were just bad. They were not good. So, all right, you guys. So that's all I got for you this week. Tell me what you guys thought about this episode. Did you like it? Did you not like it? I really hope they don't do a female Moon Knight. We haven't even gotten Oscar Isaacs as Moon Knight. We barely gotten it. Like, these episodes have not been good enough to where it's all like, I'm like, yay, we got Moon Knight. We have not gotten Moon Knight. We've barely gotten anything, in my opinion. Okay, again, tell me what you guys thought about this episode. Did you like this episode? Did you not like this episode? How do you feel about it? Did you like them showing the hippo goddess lady? Tell me what you guys think. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. You know I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week on my Moon Knight breakdown and review. You guys have a good week. Bye.
Hippopotamus, hippopotamus, hippopotamus. Ow! I'm a hippopotamus. I like